Hi, I'm Chris Nedza, lead entrepreneur in residence of the Advanced Technology Development Center at Georgia Tech. We're the state of Georgia's technology incubator. Welcome to Season 1 of the ATDC podcast, Executive Bytes. We focus on the startup founders in our portfolio, what sparked them to launch their companies, the market problem they've solved, and even how they overcame the thoughts of quitting when times get rough. Enjoy. So, man, today is a great day. I get to speak to Matt Golden of MapHabit. Matt, can't wait to dig into your story a little bit, but a fun little fact, people, I don't know if they can see this, but you're jacked. Like, what do you do? Like, do you work out? I mean, I am too, but it's just a little covered up. There's some other things, but like, what do you do to, like, what's your thing? What's your secret?
I appreciate that. I'm a humble guy, so I'll never admit to that, but I do enjoy CrossFitting, something that my wife and I both do about 4 days a week. For me, she goes about 5, maybe 6 days a week. So it's something that incorporates, constantly varied functional movements performed at a high intensity, where you have a community and usually anchor your workout routine around, healthy diet and sleep. So
And
kind
you
of
have
ticks.
one other annoying thing you love to do that you'll never see me do ever. What is that?
I enjoy cold plunging, cold water immersion. So it's another ritual that I try to do every day. It
Every
takes 4 to 5 minutes to actually do it. It's basically a sense of accomplishment that you can have early in the morning. And if you could do one hard thing and you're able to get through that fight or flight response, then it just makes every other tough thing that throws your way so much easier.
So, this is kind of a side note. What the heck is cold plunging? Just get a big tub of ice and jump in it?
That would be one way to do it if you're going to do it once. I do it every day. So I have an actual 100-gallon ice barrel, it's called. It's got a filtration system. It's got a chiller. It's got a pump. And basically you get in there and try to get your head wet and grit your teeth and get through it.
Good luck with that. Day of punishment. That's awesome. Every day. But Matt, I love your company, MapHabit. And one of the reasons why I love it is it tugs on my heart because you're dealing with people who have elderly people generally, correct? Who have Alzheimer's or dementia, and it's something that helps improve their life. And I know personally, there's situations in my family where we're dealing with that. Tell me about MapHabit, and then I want to get into why in the world did you start this?
Yeah. So MapHabit is a behavioral health platform that helps people build habits and routines. We support the entire neurodiverse community. So that can be anyone from a child with a developmental disability like autism or Down syndrome, a middle-aged person with a traumatic brain injury, or like you had mentioned, a older adult with mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's disease or related dementias and their caregivers. Unfortunately, I also have family members that have been impacted in each of those different types of communities. And I really started the company in honor of my uncle who got early onset Alzheimer's disease when he was 6 years old. Statistically, that's very early. And it took us all by surprise. I mean, he was one of the biggest mentors in my life, got me my first computer, and really taught me the art of entrepreneurship. And I saw firsthand little things like not being able to calculate the tip on the bill, to him having trouble really, brushing his teeth and getting dressed in the right order. And while that was really hard for him, it was even harder on my aunt, who is an unpaid caregiver, who really had no healthcare experience, was really thrown into this diagnosis without any warning and without the proper education and coaching as to how to respond in a favorable manner or really understand what are the root causes for these kind of behaviors. So I teamed up with a neuroscientist who happened to live on my street. I met him while he was walking his dog one day, and we had this shared passion to help other people. And he's just got a great background in healthcare, and I'm kind of the product guy and the people manager. Raised money, and we started the company about 6 years ago, and it's been a really awesome journey.
So you said a lot in that segment, but I want to break it down a little bit. So you said something about building routines. Explain that, and like what does that mean? I mean, I think I know what it means, but what does that mean in your world?
Yeah, so we all throughout the day have things that we repeat over and over. You may not realize it, but even little things like driving your car. When you get into the car, you're using your muscle memory to accomplish these activities. You're not consciously thinking about how hard you're putting your foot on the accelerator or the gas, or your left or right turn signal. You're basically following this script that is really a non-conscious decision that you just do automatically. So when you have these diseases or you have these conditions, having that routine is so important. One, it helps the person who is really going through this journey of Alzheimer's disease, for example, do the things in the right order that they had done previously, or they are able to really stay on track so that it can kind of regulate their moods and keep them on a good trajectory. It's also important for caregivers too to have routines, because they often need to schedule time where they can take a break. They can go to their doctor's appointments. They can go out for a walk or have coffee with a friend. So if you don't have those routines in place and you're just kind of taking one day at a time and winging it, you end up having worse healthcare outcomes. You become stressed out. Your own health, if you're a caregiver, starts deteriorating because you're doing everything to support that person that you care about, and it turns out to be a really tough situation.
So, as you're speaking, I'm thinking of one of my family members, and the deterioration sort of just happened slowly. And next thing you know, it's like, wow, like this is not normal, At what time? I mean, can you see improvement by getting onto the routine, or how does that work?
Yeah, so having routines are important. Everything from a young kid who's learning to tie his shoes, or an older woman that's just remembering to drink enough water throughout the day.
That's a big one.
So yeah, I mean these things that
So walk me through the drinking water. I mean, it's a huge one. I mean, we deal with UTIs a lot with people that I know, and a lot of it has to do with just don't drink enough water.
Yeah. So just having those routines of,
So how does your
drinking
plan work?
So what we do is we work with a family that, let's take the Alzheimer's disease example. Maybe it's a caregiver that comes to us. Sometimes it's a spouse of a caregiver, but more often it's a child supporting their aging parent that is seeing all these changes in their loved one, and they don't understand why. They don't understand why all of a sudden mom or my aunt is not drinking water. She's also getting agitated when the sun goes down. She never had those issues before. And myself as a businessman or someone else without that experience, they may not know how to react. They may resort to anger or frustration and yell at their loved one, but that doesn't work. You need to really be trained on how to redirect in a positive way, how to not fight the small stuff and really just support. And, sometimes saying a white lie and kind of keeping the peace is the best, path forward. And people don't realize that. So it's a lot of like almost therapy and understanding, what are they dealing with and building routines around that.
So Matt, I get the case and the pain. How does the product work?
So we will often have a partnership with an organization. Our most frequent customer is either a health system or a health insurance company that wants to provide a benefit to their patients, their families, their members. And what we will do is we'll get a referral from one of these organizations. It could be a neurologist, having a family caregiver who's really struggling and looking for some coaching outside of their appointments. And once we get one of these referrals, we'll talk with the family member. We'll ask some questions like, what what are some of the things that you're struggling with on a day-to-day basis? What about your loved one who has dementia or a traumatic brain injury? And really try to get into what are called the psychosocial aspects of life. What is the person's needs, their abilities? What's the flow of the day that works for them, and build kind of a routine around that.
Is this a one-on-one conversation, or do they go to a web application, or how does that work?
It's usually a one-on-one conversation with one of our staff members. When we do get a referral from one of our business partners, it's usually paid for by them, and we'll just kind of go through this initial interview process and work with them to kind of personalize their routine over the period of anywhere from 3 months. We have some people who have been with us for 4 years.
Yeah, I can imagine when to go away. But one thing that's always frustrated me is, as a provider for an elderly parent, the assisted living facilities, they never guide me to this stuff. Like, you have to figure it out on your own. And you would think that they would know about you and then direct us, but they don't. Sometimes they do know about you, but they still won't direct us to you. Like, what's that? What's that about?
Yeah, well, it's hard because they have their own struggles with employee retention, or they're trying to fill their occupancy and make sure that their bosses or their investors are happy with them, and they may not even know about us, or they may not be comfortable with that. So we do work with some assisted living and memory care organizations. Our sweet spot is really when the family is still living in their home, and we can actually delay a nursing home admission, or we have a really stressed out family caregiver that is at risk of their own healthcare event. That's when we'll get a referral from a case manager with a health plan, or a health system, and then we kind of enroll them into the program.
Excuse me. What's your ideal customer? Is there any segment that is your sweet spot? Because we've talked about, childhood, we've talked about a lot of different areas. Yeah. What's your sweet spot for MapHabit?
Yeah, so our sweet spot is a family caregiver that is usually in their middle age. I'm 45 years old, really anyone from 40 to 60 who is either a parent of a young child with a developmental disability, or who is supporting an aging parent who might be having dementia. Those are the sweet spots.
Okay, so I want to change gears a little bit. So you got this idea, you came up, you saw your neighbor jogging by or walking in his dog, and you guys started the company. Give me, it sounds crazy, but give me the what you wish you would have known, and, like, let's switch that gear about being an entrepreneur and running a startup.
Well, there's a lot of things that I've learned over the 6 years of growing this company to know what not to do. That's for sure. I would say the biggest thing is, especially in healthcare, is build your network early. Make sure that you have experienced people who, throughout the growth of the company, from hiring, from building the product to getting your initial success stories, and then trying to scale within your customer base. Make sure you're talking to and leveraging people who have done that before. That's something that I had a lot of hubris. I had a really great consulting career as a project manager. I thought that translated into product management and building a product. Not even close.
So you were a consultant, and then next thing,
yeah. So yeah, don't just assume because you've had a successful corporate career and you've been able to solve problems at a well-established company that building a brand, basically building a concept in an industry that's nascent or has been kind of ripe for innovation that hasn't happened. Don't assume that it's going to be easy. It always takes longer. It always costs 2 to 3 times as much, and the journey will tax you both from a critical thinking and business perspective, but also on the personal side. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah, no, it's not easy, is it?
Nope.
But what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? A lot of things. I would say probably the toughest thing is finding the right mix of providing the right amount of direction to my team and then giving them enough autonomy to kind of figure it out on their own. I am not a micromanager, but I've learned that, especially, in the startup world, we've got 18 employees right now, that not all of them have been there as long as I have. And what I assume that people know is not necessarily the case. So I think the biggest challenge is finding that right balance to still work in the business at the right capacity and kind of provide guidance when necessary, but stay away once the team is going to build it on their own. Just give them that space to do it. I constantly have to check myself all the time.
Oh man, that's so tough though, because your business, they have to care, right? I mean, I would think that your staff has to care about that customer. It's not like,
yeah. Now that's and having a social impact company like MapHabit that, supports caregivers and people with these, really specialized conditions that are really tough, a lot of behavior change that's needed. You really have to have an empathetic staff. And that's part of our hiring process. We make sure that either the person has, a direct experience either in the past or currently, or know someone and they really want to make an impact in the world. So that's definitely an input in our hiring.
Well, Matt, I've kind of watched you at ATDC for the last, I guess, about 3 years now, and you are always you're such a kind, caring, hardworking person, and you've added so much to ATDC, and you're on a tough journey. Just building any company is hard. One that has a social impact is particularly hard. So, super happy that you joined us. Really proud of the work that you're doing. I mean, if it were up to me, I would just wave my magic wand and everybody is signing up for that because it's so important. And so I just want to wish you the very best. And I hope this audience appreciates how amazing you are and your company is. But thank you to you and MapHabit.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but also your leadership here. I think as soon as you got here, I think the mentality and there's just been an aura of positivity around, which hadn't been there before, to be honest. I've been at ATDC for almost 5 years right now. And I think it's the best culture and the best, set of leaders around. So I'm going to pay it right back to you. So thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the ATDC podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and share or connect wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to follow us on social media. Our handle is @ATDC on X, LinkedIn, and Instagram.